What's up, everyone? I just flew into Denver, Colorado from Florida and picked up this rental car, and I am about to drive out to Steamboat Springs to pick up two dogs there, and then we'll drive to Telluride, pick up another two dogs there, and then over the next 6 days, we're going to drive all four of those dogs back across the country from Colorado to Florida. I'm so excited to bring you guys along with me. I actually anticipate this being my most difficult pet transport yet, for multiple reasons. First of which being, this is my first time ever transporting four dogs at once. And then the other reason being, this is my first time ever transporting for two families at once. I typically only transport for one family with a maximum of two dogs, but these two families knew each other and were traveling together, so it just worked out really well for them and for my schedule to combine these two transports. And it is currently 19 degrees here in Denver, and it is snowing out in Steamboat and in Telluride. So it is going to be an interesting journey. I just stopped at a Walmart right after picking up the rental car and grabbed a few jugs of water for the drive. I bought an ice scraper and a whole bag of snacks. So we are good to go, and we're heading to Steamboat to pick up Basher and Shifu now. As we do this drive across the country over the next few days, I am going to share the 10 things that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter. So not only are you guys going to get to see this beautiful drive across the country with some cool dogs and all of the challenges that we encounter, but hopefully you'll learn a couple of things along the way too. I've been up since 4 a.m. and I have a 3-hour drive to go pick up those two dogs in Steamboat Springs. And then I have a 5-hour drive from Steamboat to Montrose, which is where we'll be staying tonight before picking up the other two dogs in Telluride tomorrow morning. So I needed a little coffee pick-me-up. I just pulled over here at a Dutch Bros. I always love Dutch Bros. Anytime I'm on the West Coast, they don't have them on our side of the country, unfortunately. But this guy was so nice. He just gave me a free coffee. I think that's an awesome sign for this trip. You know, I just told you guys that this trip was going to be challenging, and then I get a free coffee. So we're just off to a great start. All right, guys, after a 3-hour drive through the snow, we made it to Steamboat Springs, and I'm proud to introduce you to Basher and little Shifu. These guys are awesome. I just picked them up from their family. Their family were just such nice people. And this is actually my second time transporting Basher and Shifu. I actually drove them out here to Colorado for their family back in October, a couple of months ago. And then these guys were lucky enough to spend the holidays out here. So now I'm picking them up, driving them back to Florida. And right now we have a 4.5-hour drive from Steamboat down to Montrose, Colorado. It's about 9 o'clock at night, and we made it to Montrose. We just got checked into a Quality Inn, and Basher and Shifu are over here eating dinner. Good morning, everyone. We had a great first night here at the Quality Inn. We're out for our morning walk right now. It is frosty out here. I think it's like 12 degrees, and my little fingers are frozen. I don't know why I didn't put on my gloves this morning, but the pups are enjoying their walk. They slept right next to me and kept me warm all night. And we're about to go grab some coffee, and then we'll just have an hour drive to pick up Lulu and Stella in Telluride. This Quality Inn here was really perfect for us because it's right next to this big nature trail and this field. So we were able to get like a really good walk-in. And that's something that I look for as I'm booking the hotels as we drive across the country. I'm looking for places that have a lot of green space, or they're next to a trail, they're close to a local city park, you know, places like that. All right, guys, meet Miss Lulu and little Stella here. These guys are awesome. We are already in love with each other. I just picked them up in Telluride a few minutes ago, and now we are heading towards New Mexico. We've been on the road for about 6 hours, and we just stopped and had a great walk here at the Loma del Rey Park in Albuquerque. But it has been a super smooth drive. It was just beautiful leaving Telluride this morning, driving through the snow-capped mountains. It was just incredible. I tried to get a little bit of video and pictures of that too, so I'll just overlay that while I'm talking right now. And while we're stopped here, I went ahead and went on Priceline and booked our hotel for the night. We are going to be staying in Vega, Texas, which is about 3 hours from here. So we should get there about 7 p.m. These guys have just been the best riders so far. They've been so quiet and just sleeping and doing well together. And they did so well on their walk right now. They all just want lots of love, lots of cuddles. So I've been stopping like every couple hours just to climb in the back seat and give them some scratches and tell them I love them. And, you know, I thought this was going to be a really challenging drive across the country, but I don't know. I think this might be one of my best drives across the country now. I definitely packed way too many winter clothes. It's like 60 degrees here in Albuquerque. I had to shed my jacket and my hoodie, and I'm wearing these thermals under my clothes, and I'm like sweating in them after that walk. But while we're stopped here, I thought I would show you how I have the car set up. So this is a Ford Expedition, and it has 3 rows of seats. So Basher and Shifu get the middle row here, and then Lulu and Stella, they get the back row there. Hopefully you guys can see them. So each dog is connected to 2 doggy seat belts. I have one seat belt that's connected to the headrest here, and then connected to the back of their harness. And then there's another doggy seat belt. You guys can't really see it, but it's plugged into the actual seatbelt buckle and then connected to the front of their harness. And then each dog is wearing an Apple AirTag with their locations shared to their owners for the full drive across the country. In a perfect world, all the dogs would be in crates. But I've said this in transportation videos before, that when I'm flying across the country and then driving the dogs in a rental car, I really have to work with what the clients are providing me and what they want also. And these clients did not provide me with crates, and they wanted their dogs to ride this way. So my minimum requirement as far as safety goes is these seat belts. And that actually leads me to the first of the 10 things that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter. And that's the fact that doggy seat belts and travel crates are not all built the same. You really do get what you pay for when it comes to all of this kind of stuff. When I first started transporting a few years ago, I bought like the cheapest seat belts and everything that I could find for dogs, and they just did not cut it. I don't remember what the brand was, but they would actually just come right out of the seatbelt clip. So, I mean, they did nothing. They were useless. So just be sure to do your research and then test things in your own car before you start driving clients' dogs around. We just got checked into an America's Best motel here in Vega, Texas, which means that we did over 640 miles of driving today. It was a little over 10 and a half hours of actual moving driving time. It took us about 13 hours with all of our stops, but it was such an awesome day on the road. These guys are just such smooth riders. They slept pretty much the whole day. We had a couple fun stops. And they're just fun dogs. Like, I'm really, really enjoying them so far. When I made the itinerary for this trip for the clients, I had put that we were going to stay in Santa Rosa, New Mexico tonight. But it was still pretty early when we went through there, and I was feeling good. The dogs were feeling good. So we kept on trucking here to Vega, Texas, which means that we are officially 2 hours ahead of schedule, which I love that. And I always try to get a little ahead of schedule on our first full day of driving. So that means we can just be a little bit more relaxed and have less to worry about every day after this. This America's Best Motel is a drive-up motel, and that is my second thing that I want to mention here as far as things that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter. It's the fact that drive-up motels, while they typically are lesser quality, the name of this is America's Best, and I can promise you it is not America's Best, but they are worth it. These drive-up motels are so worth it when you're traveling with dogs, just to be able to, pull your car straight up to the room, take all their supplies out, and walk them straight into the room without having to go through the lobby of a hotel or worry about an elevator or anything like that. It just makes everything so much easier. These 10 things that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter are not in any specific order. I just made a bullet point list, and I'm trying to cover each one of the points as they just come up naturally throughout the day. Good morning, guys. It's about 7 a.m. and we're getting back on the road here out of Vega, Texas. We just stopped at the truck stop here, fueled up, and got my coffee. These guys had a nice cold morning walk. They've all had breakfast, and they all cuddled up right next to me all night and kept me warm. It was great. They're just such lovers. These dogs are really awesome. Right now we're going to be heading west on I-40. We're going to be going through Amarillo here in a few minutes. Then we'll go through Dallas, Texas, and I'm hoping to make it somewhere around Jackson, Mississippi tonight, which is about 11 hours from where we are right now. We're stopped for a little potty break and a walk here in Wichita Falls. And while we're stopped here, I just wanted to show you guys that I do take the dogs out 2 at a time. I don't take all 4 of them out just because it's a lot to manage 4 dogs all at once, and I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. We just got out of the Dallas traffic, and man, that was brutal. It was just like stop and go for like the last hour. And the dogs kept thinking that we were stopping to get out, so like they've been pacey, and so we just found this nice rest stop here, and we're getting a little walk in, stretching our legs. While we're stopped here at the rest stop, I just went ahead and booked our room for the night. We're gonna be staying at a Roadway Inn in Vicksburg, Mississippi, so we have a little more than 4 hours of driving left for the day. Good morning, everyone. We got here to the Roadway Inn in Vicksburg, Mississippi, a little after 9 p.m. last night, and after I got the dogs all walked and everyone had dinner and everything, I was just too tired to talk to the camera. But I did get a little bit of video of me just loving on the dogs last night, and we're getting their breakfast ready together now before we hit the road. And as I'm getting their food ready, I was literally just thinking about how grateful I am that they actually packed spoons to go with the wet food. You know, I've been transporting dogs for the last few years, and a lot of the dogs that I have transported eat wet food. And this is only the second client ever to think to pack a spoon with the wet food. Now, they did not pack me a lid to go on the can, but luckily, if you watched my video last week about everything that I pack and bring with me on these transports, I did have a Ziploc bag to put the can in after it was opened. But I'm just grateful that they packed me a spoon. And this leads me right into the next thing that I wanted to mention about things that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter. And that is the fact that most clients will not provide you with the supplies that you ask for. Most people just cannot follow instructions in general. You know, clients and people just in general cannot follow instructions. And I have a very detailed and specific list of exact supplies that I send to every transportation client. Things like I need their vaccination records, you know, I need bowls for their food, I want their bed from home, I want their favorite toys, I want a 4-foot standard leash, no retractable leashes, all these things. It's a very detailed and specific list. And most clients, I'm lucky to get half of what's on the list from most clients. These clients did really well. I'm really happy with how they did. But if you're going to get into transportation and you're going to send them a list of things that you need, don't expect them to have everything on that list, and don't expect the things that they do provide you to actually be what you need. You're going to have to bring some of your own supplies. You may have to buy a few things along the way, and you may just have to make it work with what they provide you. And that actually leads me right into the next thing that I wanted to mention, and that's the fact that pet transportation clients really think of these drives across the country the same way that they think of pet sitting and dog walking. And they book the services in the same way. I just kind of thought that clients would think of it a little bit differently, and maybe that it would be a little bit bigger deal to them because it's a bigger deal to me, especially because of the size of the invoice. And pet transportation clients, they book last minute, just like pet sitting clients. I get calls every week. Hey, can you pick up my dog in New York tomorrow and then have them in New Mexico 2 days later? No. I have had a couple clients that really, planned this out months in advance, and they had almost everything on my list, and it was a bigger deal to them. But I'm just talking in generalities here that most of the time, these families just don't think of the long distance drives any differently than pet sitting and dog walking. I'll go ahead and mention the next thing that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter while we're getting our morning walk in here. And that's the fact that everything takes longer while you're on the road. That one may seem kind of self-explanatory, and I kind of assumed that things would take a little bit longer while you're on the road. But I really underestimated just how much time. I always quote clients for 8 to 10 hours of actual moving driving time every day, but I always expect that to turn into 12 to 14 hours with all of our different stops and everything that we're doing. Just feeding the dogs breakfast or going out for a short potty break, it turns into a much bigger ordeal, because you have to kind of look ahead on the map and see where the next good rest stop is. You're taking the dogs out two at a time. You have to be extra vigilant and extra careful of the other people and the other dogs that are out at the stops. Every little thing that you do just turns into a much bigger ordeal. I have to really prioritize how I use my time while I'm on the road, because as you guys know, not only am I driving these 4 dogs across the country this week, but I still have my team of over 30 pet sitters and dog walkers, in Jacksonville. And while I have an incredible manager there kind of handling the team for me, I still have to be available by the phone to help when needed, and I'm still taking time to, read and reply to emails in the mornings and evenings, and just all of that fun stuff on top of what I'm actually doing with these 4 dogs. We just went through the drive-thru here at Starbucks and got my morning coffee, so we are ready to head east. We are actually now 5 hours ahead of schedule. We were originally supposed to stop in Terrell, Texas last night. That's what I had put on my itinerary anyway. But we went through there pretty early, and we kept on trucking to Vicksburg. So now that we're so far ahead of schedule, now it's actually kind of messing up my delivery schedule, because I was supposed to deliver these guys midday on the 6th. And then I have a flight home to Jacksonville out of Miami the evening of the 6th. But now I'm going to be delivering them on the 5th. So I've got to figure out how we're going to handle this this morning. I'm going to call the rental car company and call American Airlines and see if I can move my flight around, or if I can change the drop-off location for the rental car and just drive home from Miami and cancel the flight. Now, I got to figure all that out. But in the meantime, I did just make the decision that we are actually going to go stay at my house in Jacksonville tonight. It's about 9 hours away, and then we'll have 5 hours to get down to Miami tomorrow. So all these guys will get to meet my babies, Turkey and King, and we'll have a little play date this evening. All right, we've been on the road for a few minutes, and the Apple CarPlay and the Bluetooth on this Ford Expedition just stopped working a few minutes ago. This is like the third time that this has happened on this trip. And I actually rented an Expedition a few weeks ago for another transport, and that car kept doing the same thing too. So Ford, get your stuff together, because every time that this happens, I have to pull over and I have to turn the car all the way off and then back on again to get the CarPlay and the Bluetooth and everything to work again. So if you guys have ever had issues like this with a Ford, drop a comment down below. But before all of that happened, I was able to call the rental car company and change my drop-off location from the Miami airport to Jacksonville, and I was able to get a full refund for my flight out of Miami. So now the plan is to get to my house tonight. We'll spend the night there. Then we'll get up early tomorrow. We'll have a 5-hour drive down to Miami. We'll deliver all the dogs, and then we'll drive back home to Jacksonville. And this actually leads me to the next thing that I wanted to mention as far as the things that I wish I had known before becoming a pet transporter. And that is that signing up for the hotel and the rental car and even the gas station rewards programs are typically worth it. You know, I used to never sign up for that kind of stuff before I started driving across the country so much, but now I'm a member of every hotel chain, every rental car company, all the gas station chains, you know, and because I spend so much time on the road and rack up so many points with all of these places, when I call and need to make changes to my rental car and to my flight and stuff, they're usually a little bit nicer, and I'm usually able to get what I want without a lot of extra charges and stuff, just because I have so many points. Plus, some of the gas stations will even give you like a free coffee sometimes, and they all have little perks to get you to sign up, you know, and as long as you're not paying for the membership, it's worth it. While we're talking about these scheduling changes, I'll also mention something else that I wish I had known, and that's the fact that you need to overestimate on your time and your mileage. I always overestimate now. You know, I used to, when I first started, I would get it right down to the T. Now I just overestimate by a couple hundred miles and a couple hours at least on every gig. That way, if I stick to, you know, the actuality of things, then the client thinks that they're getting their dogs early, which just makes you look even better, you know, and I never have to worry about telling anybody that I'm going to be late that way. Like in this case right here, I'm actually going to be delivering the dogs a whole day early, and the clients are ecstatic about that. You know, they're stoked to get their dogs a day early. So just always overestimate. And also keep in mind that there's just a lot more flexibility to all of this stuff than I had thought when I started. You know, I thought that I needed all of my estimates to be absolutely perfect. And I thought that I wouldn't be able to make it work using rental cars long term. And, you know, I had all these kind of preconceived notions. And what I've learned over the last couple of years is that all of this is just a lot more flexible, and there's a lot more options about how to do all of this than I ever thought. You know, I'm a couple of years in now, still just using rental cars. So if you want to be a pet transporter, or, you know, transport goods for one of the shipping apps, or, you know, whatever it is that you have in mind, just know that there is flexibility with all of this, and a lot of it comes down to what you want to do and what's going to work best for, you know, your business. All right, guys, just like that, we have made it to Florida. We're here getting a good walk-in at the Florida Welcome Center. We've got one of the Blue Angels up here. It's a really cool welcome center, and I just can't believe we're already in Florida. That was such a fast drive across the country. Now we just have 5 more hours to get to my house in Jacksonville. We had such a fun night together at my house. Turkey and King were so excited to have some new friends over to play, and we just ran around the yard and played and played and played for a couple of hours, and then we cuddled on the couch, and then I had all 6 dogs in bed with us last night. It was awesome. That's exactly how I like my life right there. I just love it when I have pet transports that I can actually stop at my house and spend the night, with my dogs and get everybody together. I love that. It's so awesome. And, on this trip, it was totally unplanned. Last night I was supposed to be staying like in Mobile, Alabama. And then tonight I'm supposed to stay like in Orlando and then deliver the dogs tomorrow. But we just got loaded up in the car and we've got a 5-hour drive down to Miami. We'll deliver Basher and Shifu first, and then we'll deliver Lulu and Stella, and then we'll drive 5 hours back home. And then I guess we'll have the day off tomorrow. How cool is that? I just stopped at a Walgreens and picked up some pictures to go with my thank you cards for each of the dogs' families. So I thought I would just quickly show you what I do here. If you guys watched my video for probably 2 years ago about how I win awards as a pet sitter, you guys already know this protocol. You guys saw that in detail in that video. So I'll put a link to that video down in the description below if you haven't seen it. But for all of my pet sitting clients and all of my pet transportation clients, I give all of them a branded thank you card at the end of the stay. I have these custom cards made on Vistaprint. I write each family a handwritten thank you note. And then each family gets this welcome home card that has a QR code at the bottom to go leave me a Google review, and another QR code to go follow our Facebook and our Instagram page. And then each family, of course, gets a flyer in case they want to tell their neighbors or their friends about us. And then, like I said, I just ordered these pictures at Walgreens. There's like 5 or 6 photos here for each family. Just some of my best pictures of the dogs from the trip. I just ordered those via the 1-hour print on the Walgreens app, and I just swung by this Walgreens on the way down to Miami and picked them up. Now we have about 4 hours left to deliver the dogs. While we're stopped here, I thought I would share something else that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter. And that is that weekends are the worst time to be transporting pets for multiple reasons. I'm specifically mentioning this right now because it is Sunday today, and there are a ton of cops and state troopers on the side of the interstate just waiting to pull people over. And that is always the case on weekends. There's always more cops out. There's always just more people on the road in general, so you have to deal with more traffic. And then also, hotels are always going to cost more on weekends. So I always try to do all of my transports during weekdays and not be on the road on weekends. However, I'll tell you that the majority of families, I'd say 90% of families, request for pickup on like a Thursday or a Friday and then delivery on Sunday or a Monday. So I almost always end up on the road on weekends, but do try to avoid it if possible. All right, guys, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we have no more dogs in the car. I'm kind of sad about it, honestly. It was hard to say goodbye to those 4. I really just fell in love with them. All 4 of them, but especially Basher and Shifu, because this was my second drive across the country with them. And, when you experience the country with a dog, a person, with any other living being, you form this bond and this relationship with them. And, over the last 5 days, me and these 4 dogs, like, we have traveled through however many states, almost 3,000 miles, the different hotels, the different parks, the people that we've met in parking lots together, all these beautiful, incredible things. And I'm just so immensely grateful for opportunities like this and to get to do this for a living. I never thought that I would be here. I never planned on being a professional pet transporter, and I'm just so grateful. And I thought I would leave you guys with one more thing that I wish I would have known before becoming a pet transporter. And that is the fact that everything is figure outable. I know that's not actually a word, but it's the truth. Everything is figure outable. And, when I first started transporting pets a couple of years ago, I was so nervous about all of the unknowns. I was always asking myself, what's going to happen if I get into an accident? Or what's going to happen if a dog, gets off of their leash and I'm in some random state? Or what's going to happen if a dog has a medical emergency or I have a medical emergency? Or there's all of these questions and unknowns. And, I had a lot of worry about that. And I think it's normal for a lot of us to have some nervousness and some worry about, the unknowns and what could potentially happen, especially when we're doing work like this. But what I've found over my 10 years of being in business and the last couple of years of providing these long distance pet transportation services is that you can and will figure it out. All those things that I was worried about in the beginning about, getting into an accident and, dogs getting off leash and all these kinds of things have happened. I have been in a fender bender. I have had a dog get off their harness. I have had these things happen and I figured it all out, one step at a time. And I'm still here smiling. I'm still laughing about it. And I'm still itching for the next journey across the country and for the next client. And if I can figure all this out, I know that you can too, and so I hope that's gives you a little bit of light, a little bit of inspiration. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on my weekly vlogs. I am posting a video here on the Doug the Dog Guy YouTube channel every Wednesday in 2025. So I would love for you to come along with me on this journey. And with that, I'm Doug the Dog Guy, reminding you to stay positive.